Daddy, help me! Mommy, bad! The child's cry, echoed with terrifying clarity by Lorenzo the parrot, tore through the dining room's silence. The crystal glass slipped from Magnate Arthur's hand, shattering on the floor like his perfect life. His eyes, once blinded by trust, now burned with fury as he looked at his wife, whose face paled at the sight of the bird. He knew, in that instant, that the parrot had revealed an unspeakable nightmare, and the truth behind those words would lead him to an abyss of pain and vengeance. Arthur sat on the edge of the armchair, his body rigid, his gaze fixed on Ilara. The sound of broken glass still echoed in his ears, but it was Sophia's cry, imitated by Lorenzo, that shattered his soul. "Ilara, what does this mean?" His voice came out hoarse, almost a dangerous whisper. He gestured towards the parrot, which, oblivious to the tension, gently flapped its wings on its perch, as if awaiting the unfolding of that family drama. "Sophia, Mommy bad? What have you been doing to our daughter?" Ilara, who until then seemed petrified, composed herself with frightening speed. A forced smile appeared on her lips as she tried to hide the tremor in her hands, which clenched nervously. "Arthur, my love, you're scared. It's just the parrot. You know how he likes to imitate sounds and voices. Sophia is a child. Sometimes she invents games, and Lorenzo repeats them without understanding the context." She took a step towards him, trying to touch his arm with calculated delicacy, but Arthur instinctively recoiled, as if her touch could burn. "Don't give me excuses, Ilara." Arthur's voice rose a tone, laden with a pain he could barely contain. "Sophia is always sick, always needing rest. I trusted you. I trusted you to care for her as if she were your own flesh and blood. But now I hear this." He pointed to Lorenzo, who, as if sensing the gravity of the moment, remained silent, merely observing with his bright, intelligent eyes fixed on the scene. Ilara's face hardened slightly, the mask of innocence beginning to crack under the pressure of Arthur's penetrating gaze. "Are you going to believe a bird, Arthur, instead of me, your wife? I dedicated my life to you, to our family. Sophia is fragile, you know that. The doctor said she needs a calm, stress-free environment. I'm just protecting her, following the guidelines for her well-being." Her words were rapid, a river of justifications attempting to drown the truth, but the nervousness in her voice was almost palpable. But Arthur was not an easy man to deceive. His businessman's mind, accustomed to analyzing facts and unmasking frauds, now turned to the woman he loved. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together in a terrible way. The restricted visits to Sophia, the constant excuses to keep her in her room, the girl's paleness when he saw her, always so briefly. He had attributed everything to her delicate health, her fragility, as Ilara always insisted with convincing sweetness. But what if it wasn't fragility? What if it was fear? A wave of nausea hit him, churning his stomach. How could he have been so blind, so busy with his business, so confident in the woman he had chosen to be the mother of his daughter? The image of Sophia, small and vulnerable, invaded his thoughts. He remembered a day, a few weeks ago, when he tried to hug her, and she shrugged, an almost imperceptible gesture, but one that now took on a new and dark meaning. Ilara was always nearby, controlling every interaction, every word exchanged. "I need to see her, Ilara. Now," Arthur declared, standing up. His posture was that of a man whose world had just been turned upside down, but who found a new and frightening determination. His eyes, once full of fury, now showed a deep sadness, mixed with an unwavering resolve. He could no longer live in illusion. The truth, however painful, needed to be revealed. Ilara tried to intercept him, reaching out to hold him, but he ignored her, walking towards the corridor that led to Sophia's room. Arthur's heart beat erratically, a drum of apprehension and hope. as he approached the white door, fearing what he would find. With each step, Lorenzo's voice repeating, "Daddy, help me," echoed in his mind, a cruel reminder of the duty he had failed to fulfill. Arthur stopped before the white door, the cold wood beneath his fingers. The echo of Lorenzo's words, "Daddy, help me, Mommy, you're bad," hammered in his mind, turning his life into a lament. He hesitated, the fear of confirming his worst fears paralyzing him, but Sophia's image propelled him forward. He opened the door and entered. Sophia's room was a sanctuary of pastel tones with untouched toys. The soft afternoon light filtered through the window, illuminating the tiny figure of his daughter on the bed, hugging a teddy bear. Sophia lifted her head, her blue eyes, now clouded by deep sadness. A slight start ran through her fragile body, and Arthur felt pain upon noticing apprehension instead of joy. "Sophia, my love," Arthur began, his voice choked. He knelt, extending his hand to the girl's pale face. His fingers brushed her soft skin. Ilara appeared at the door, her expression a mixture of anger and despair. "Arthur, please, don't disturb her. She needs to rest. The girl is very sensitive." Arthur ignored Ilara, his eyes fixed on Sophia. "Daughter, Daddy is here. Can you tell me what's happening? Daddy wants to help you." Sophia looked at her mother, then at her father, her thin lips trembling. The small hand holding the teddy bear squeezed it tighter. Ilara stepped forward, her voice more authoritative. "Sophia, don't bother your father with nonsense. He's busy." But Arthur raised his hand, a firm gesture that made her stop. "Ilara, leave the room. I need to talk to my daughter." The order, calm and chilling, made Ilara recoil, her face contorted in silent fury. She hesitated, but the determination in Arthur's eyes was unwavering. With a huff of indignation, she withdrew, closing the door with a dull thud. The silence that followed was heavy. Arthur approached Sophia, taking her cold little hands. "Sophia, Daddy heard Lorenzo. He said, 'Daddy, help me, Mommy, bad.' Is it true, my love? Does your mommy hurt you?" The question, whispered with pain, hung in the air. Sophia, until then paralyzed, finally let out a sob. Her eyes filled with tears, and she nodded affirmatively. "Yes, Daddy. Mommy, she doesn't like me. She locks me up, leaves me alone, says I'm a nuisance." The words, in fragments and sobs, were daggers in Arthur's heart. He felt the ground disappear, the air thin. The truth, revealed by his daughter's innocent voice, was crueler than he had imagined. A cold, deep rage began to bubble up. It wasn't fury, but a chilling determination to protect his daughter. He pulled Sophia into a tight, protective embrace, feeling her tiny body tremble against his. "Never again, my love. Never again will you be alone. Daddy is here now. I will protect you." Warm tears streamed down Arthur's face, mixing with Sophia's soft hair. He held her tight, promising that the nightmare was over. Lorenzo, from his cage in the living room, seemed to have fulfilled his mission. Arthur held Sophia even tighter, the scent of her childish hair mixing with his tears. His daughter's tiny body, once fragile, was a symbol of his failure and his mission. "My love, my little angel," he murmured, his voice choked. "Daddy will fix everything, I swear." Sophia, sobbing, nestled into his chest, seeking the refuge she had been denied. That embrace was the first step towards healing. As he stood up, Arthur felt a new strength. Sadness existed, but it was tempered by an iron resolve. He picked Sophia up, the girl wrapping her arms around his neck. Her eyes, once clouded, now shone with a spark of trust. Arthur left the room, the door opening to a new beginning. Ilara was in the living room, pacing back and forth, her face pale and her eyes bloodshot with panic. Upon seeing Arthur with Sophia, terror crossed her features. "Arthur, what are you doing? Put her back in bed. "She's delicate," she exclaimed, trying to regain control with her manipulation. Arthur stopped in the center of the room, his voice icy. "Delicate? No, Ilara. She's a child emotionally tortured by you." He held Sophia tighter against him, a gesture of protection. "Sophia told me everything, your lies, your cruelty, the isolation you subjected her to. How could you?" The question was a declaration of his disillusionment. Ilara staggered backward, her hands covering her mouth. "No, it's a lie. She's making it up. I would never do that. I love her. Are you going to believe a child's fantasy and a talking bird instead of me, your wife?" Her tone was desperate, but Arthur saw through the facade. "The talking bird was my daughter's voice when she had none," Arthur replied, his eyes fixed on hers, without pity. "And the sick child is my daughter, whom you tried to destroy." I saw the fear in her eyes, Ilara. I felt the tremor in her body. "There's no denying it anymore." He took his phone from his pocket. Sophia still nestled against him. "I'm calling the police now, and my lawyers. You will never come near my daughter again." The mention of the police made Ilara let out a scream. "No, Arthur, please, think of our reputation. Think of everything we've built." "Reputation?" Arthur laughed, a dry, bitter sound. "You destroyed our family's reputation by hurting a defenseless child. There's nothing to build with you, Ilara. There's only justice to be done." He dialed the number, his fingers firm. As he waited for the call, his eyes met Lorenzo's, who watched everything. The parrot tilted its head as if understanding, fixed on Arthur. The operator's voice seemed unreal. Arthur, with Sophia in his arms, reported the facts. Ilara, in shock, collapsed onto the sofa, her hands trembling, her face in tears. The illusion of a perfect life shattered, revealing the cruelty. Arthur felt a weight lifted, replaced by an iron determination. His priority, to heal Sophia and ensure justice. The road would be long, but he wouldn't be alone. The distant sound of a siren, initially faint, began to intensify, tearing through the quiet of the immense mansion. Ilara, still huddled on the sofa, lifted her head, her eyes wide with terror. Her face, once perfectly made up, was now stained by tears and smudged mascara, a pathetic image of the woman Arthur had believed he loved. "Arthur, please! Don't do this!" she pleaded, her voice hoarse and desperate, extending a trembling hand towards him. "Think of the consequences, of everything we'll lose." Arthur, holding Sophia firmly in his lap, did not avert his gaze. His blue eyes, once tearful, now radiated a coldness Ilara had never seen. "Did you ever think of the consequences, Ilara? The consequences for Sophia, for her life, for the innocence you stole?" He retorted, his voice low but laden with unwavering authority. Sophia, sensing the tension, pressed herself closer to her father, her little face hidden in his shoulder, small sobs still shaking her body. The police and a social worker arrived within minutes. The front door opened, revealing the seriousness of their expressions. Arthur, with the dignity of a wounded but determined man, explained the situation in a few words, shielding Sophia from curious glances. The social worker, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, approached Arthur and Sophia, offering a warm smile. "Hello, little one. My name is Anna. You're safe now, dear." Sophia peeked over her father's shoulder, a glimpse of fear still in her eyes, but the woman's gentle voice seemed to calm her a little. While Arthur gave his initial statement, Ilara was approached by the police. She tried to argue, deny, even cry and beg for clemency, but her words sounded hollow in the face of Sophia's evident despair and Arthur's testimony. The social worker discreetly led Sophia to a corner of the room, offering her a glass of water and a cookie, while speaking in a low voice, trying to distract the girl from the unfolding commotion. Arthur watched Ilara being led out of the mansion. She cast him one last look, a mixture of hatred and plea, but Arthur did not yield. His heart was heavy, but there was no regret. The woman he had loved had revealed herself to be a monster, and justice, however painful, was the only path. Seeing Ilara leave, handcuffed, was a final blow to the illusion of his perfect life, but also the first step towards Sophia's freedom. After Ilara and the police left, a heavy silence filled the room. The social worker approached Arthur, who was now holding Sophia again. "Mr. Arthur, Sophia will need a lot of support. I suggest you find a child therapist, and for now, it's crucial that she feels safe and loved." Arthur nodded, his eyes fixed on his daughter. "I'll do whatever it takes, Anna. Everything." He took Sophia to her room, the same one that was once a prison, but which would now be a refuge. He sat on the bed, hugging her, feeling the warmth of her body. "Daddy is here, my love. Always." Sophia lifted her head, her eyes still moist, but with a glimmer of hope. She touched Arthur's face with her little hand. "Daddy, won't you leave?" The question, so simple and so laden, broke Arthur's heart. "Never again, my princess, never again." In the living room, Lorenzo watched everything from his perch. The parrot, the silent guardian of truth, seemed to understand that its mission had been accomplished. It emitted a soft chirp, like a sigh of relief. Arthur, passing through the living room with Sophia asleep in his arms, noticed Lorenzo's gaze. A faint smile appeared on his lips. The road would be long, but with Sophia in his arms and the truth revealed, he knew that the family, now stronger and more united, would find peace. Arthur carried a sleeping Sophia to her room, the morning light filtering softly through the curtains. He gently placed her on the bed, covering her with the soft duvet. He observed her pale little face, her eyelids swollen from crying, and felt a sharp pang in his chest. Guilt gnawed at him. How could he have been so blind, so absorbed in his business world, so confident in the woman who had revealed herself to be a monster? That was the first dawn of a new reality, harsh and painful, but also full of the promise of a new beginning. He sat in the armchair beside the bed, his hand resting gently on Sophia's small hand. He felt the warmth of her skin, a relief to his sad heart. Sophia stirred, opening her blue eyes, which still held a little fear. Upon seeing Arthur, a faint, almost imperceptible smile appeared on her lips. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice sleepy. Arthur squeezed her hand affectionately. "I'm here, my love. Always." That day, the mansion, once the stage for a cruel farce, began to transform into a true home of healing. Arthur dedicated every minute to Sophia. He cancelled all his appointments, delegating responsibilities to his assistants. His priority was clear: to restore his daughter's joy and security. He spoke at length with the social worker, Anna, who guided him on the next steps. The recommendation for a child therapist specializing in trauma was immediate. Arthur did not hesitate. The first session with Dr. Helena, a woman with a calm voice and a welcoming gaze, was an important step. Sophia, initially withdrawn, gradually began to open up, drawing colorful figures that represented her fears and later her desires. Arthur actively participated, learning to decipher his daughter's silent signals, to rebuild the bridge of trust that had been broken. He read to her, played in the garden, and, at meals, sat beside her, ensuring she felt safe and heard. Lorenzo's presence also became a silent comfort. The parrot, once the messenger of truth, was now a constant reminder of courage. He sang softly when Sophia approached, and the girl, over time, began to smile at him, stroking his colorful feathers. Lorenzo no longer repeated phrases of despair. Instead, he emitted joyful sounds, as if celebrating the new atmosphere of peace. Days turned into weeks. Sophia's paleness began to give way to a healthy color. Her eyes, once clouded, now shone with renewed childlike curiosity. She still had her moments of withdrawal, of silence. But Arthur was always there, patient and loving, ready to hug her and assure her she was safe. He also faced his own fears, the shame of his blindness, the anger at Ilara's betrayal. But with each smile from Sophia, he found strength to move forward. The legal process against Ilara advanced, but Arthur kept himself distant from the darker details, focusing only on ensuring that justice was done and that Sophia was protected from any future contact with her mother. He knew the healing journey would be long, but he looked at Sophia, who now ran through the garden, laughing as Lorenzo flew in circles above her head. That sound, his daughter's pure laughter, was the sweetest melody he had ever heard, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the unwavering power of a father's love. The family, though smaller, was stronger than ever, rebuilt on the pillars of truth and affection. Arthur watched Sophia run through the garden, her brown hair swaying in the wind, her crystalline laughter echoing among the flowers. It was a sound he never thought he would hear again, a melody that healed the wounds of his soul. The weeks were a balm for both of them. Sophia, with Dr. Helena's help, was flourishing. Her therapy sessions were a safe space where she learned to express her emotions, to rebuild trust in the world and in herself. Arthur, in turn, had plunged headfirst into fatherhood, discovering a love and dedication that surpassed any business success. He read stories to Sophia before bed, taught her the names of the stars, and together they planted small seeds in the garden, watching them grow, like hope in their hearts. Lorenzo the parrot was a silent, observant member of this new routine. He would perch on Arthur's shoulder as he worked in his office, or chirp softly when Sophia drew on the living room rug. His imitations of Ilara's phrases ceased completely, replaced by joyful whistles and occasionally a "Daddy loves you" that made Arthur's heart overflow. The mansion, once a stage of illusions, now breathed an air of authenticity and affection. The legal process against Ilara continued its course, and Arthur had instructed his lawyers to act with maximum discretion, protecting Sophia from any unnecessary exposure. He wanted his daughter to grow up in an environment of peace, far from the dark echoes of the past. One morning, as Arthur had coffee in the kitchen, flipping through the financial newspaper, his phone rang. It was Gustavo, his personal assistant, his voice urgent and unusual. "Mr. Arthur, I need you to see something. It's about Ilara and Sophia." Arthur's stomach clenched. He asked Gustavo to send the link. In seconds, his tablet screen displayed a headline in bold letters: "The Billionaire's Mansion Scandal, Cruelty and Abuse Behind Arthur Valente's Fortune." Below, a pixelated photo of Ilara escorted by police and, to his horror, an old image of Sophia, taken from some social event, with a forced smile. Arthur felt his blood run cold. The detailed and sensationalist report described the events with a mixture of facts and speculation, mentioning Lorenzo's crucial role and Sophia's accusations. The article ended with questions about Arthur's responsibility and the fragility of the rich's image. He closed his eyes, a wave of anger and despair hitting him. How could this have happened? He had taken every precaution. The peace he had built for Sophia was now threatened by this brutal invasion. Sophia, who was sitting at the table drawing in her coloring book, looked up. "Daddy, are you sad?" she asked, her voice small and worried. Arthur forced a smile, hiding the tablet. "No, my love, Daddy is just thinking about some work things." But his eyes, meeting hers, were full of new concern. The battle for Sophia's justice had taken on a new and unexpected dimension. He knew he would need all his strength to protect his daughter, not only from painful memories, but also from the cruelty of the outside world. The path would be even more arduous, but the determination in his heart was unwavering. Arthur's determination was unwavering. But the shock of the headline reverberated in his mind like an alarm bell. He could not allow external cruelty to touch Sophia. With a deep sigh, he put away the tablet and knelt beside his daughter, who was still coloring, oblivious to the storm. "Sophia, my love, Daddy needs to sort some things out. Can you stay with Mrs. Lucia? She'll help you make delicious cookies." Sophia looked up, a sparkle of anticipation. "Cookies?" she asked, a shy smile. "Yes, lots of cookies," Arthur confirmed, kissing her forehead. As soon as Sophia left with the housekeeper, Arthur acted with the speed and precision of a billionaire. He called Gustavo, his assistant, and the legal and communications team. "I want this article removed immediately. And an official statement that protects my daughter's privacy. No photos, no mention of her name in public. Hire the best in crisis management. Spare no expense." His voice was firm, every word laden with authority and contained fury. He wasn't just defending his reputation, he was defending his daughter's soul. The following days were a whirlwind. The mansion, once a refuge, became an operations center. Lawyers, press advisors, and security specialists circulated, working tirelessly to contain the wave of speculation and protect Sophia's privacy. Arthur, despite his exhaustion, was vigilant, monitoring every piece of news, every comment. Sophia, in turn, felt the change in the atmosphere. She noticed adults whispering, furtive glances, the constant presence of security guards. Although Arthur did his best to keep her in her routine, the lightness she once had seemed harder to achieve. One afternoon, as Arthur tried to explain to Sophia why they couldn't go to the park, the girl looked at him with her big blue eyes. "Daddy, why are people talking about me?" she asked, her voice small, almost a whisper. Arthur's heart tightened. He knelt, holding her little hands. "My love, some people are confused and tell stories that aren't true, but Daddy is here to protect you from all of it. You are safe with me, always." Sophia nestled into his chest, seeking comfort. Arthur hugged her tight, feeling her tiny body tremble. He intensified the sessions with Dr. Helena, explaining the new layer of stress. The therapist, with her wisdom and calm, helped Sophia understand that the world was sometimes noisy, but that her home was a place of peace. Arthur also opened up more to Dr. Helena, confessing the weight of his guilt and the fear of failing again. She assured him that his love and dedication were Sophia's greatest shield. Lorenzo, from his perch in the living room, watched everything with his intelligent eyes. He seemed to sense the tension, but also the unwavering strength of Arthur's love. In a moment of silence, when Arthur and Sophia were sitting on the sofa reading a book, Lorenzo chirped softly. "Daddy loves you," he said, his voice clear and sweet. Sophia looked up, a genuine smile illuminating her face. Arthur looked at the parrot, then at his daughter, and a warmth spread through his chest. The path would be long, but with each obstacle the family grew closer, proving that love was the most powerful of armors. Arthur felt the warmth of Sophia's love, and Lorenzo's affirmation as a shield against the noisy world outside. That "Daddy loves you" from the parrot, repeated with unexpected sweetness, was a constant reminder of what truly mattered. He held Sophia tighter in his arms, the book forgotten between them, and kissed the top of her head, inhaling the scent of her hair. "And Daddy loves you much more, my little warrior," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. The days that followed were a delicate dance between protection and healing. Arthur had reinforced the mansion's security, transforming it into an impenetrable sanctuary. The legal and communications team, under his relentless supervision, managed to contain the initial avalanche of sensationalist news. Articles were removed, sources questioned, and a strong official statement focused on the privacy of an innocent child was issued. The media storm began to subside, but Arthur knew that vigilance could not cease. Sophia, though protected from direct exposure, still felt the shadow of external curiosity. In one of her sessions with Dr. Helena, the girl drew a large sun, but with dark clouds around it. "The clouds are the people who say ugly things, Doctor," she explained, her voice small. Dr. Helena, with her usual calm, helped her understand that the sun, her father's love, was much bigger and stronger than any cloud. Arthur, in turn, continued his own journey of self-discovery and redemption. His conversations with Dr. Helena were not just about Sophia. They were also about him. He expressed his guilt, his anger at Ilara's betrayal, and the overwhelming fear of failing again. "I should have seen it, Dr. Helena. I was so blind, so focused on other things," he confessed, his voice hoarse, his eyes moist. The therapist assured him that the present love was what mattered, that the past, though painful, had transformed him into a more attentive and present father. He watched Sophia, now more uninhibited, running through the garden with Mrs. Lucia, laughing as Lorenzo flew in circles above their heads. With each laugh, each spontaneous hug, Arthur felt a piece of his own heart heal. He had created new rituals with Sophia. Mornings in the garden, where they planted new flowers, late afternoons reading stories, and evenings under the telescope exploring the stars. "Is every star a wish, Daddy?" Sophia asked one night, pointing to the sky. "Yes, my love," Arthur replied, hugging her, "and my wish is that you are always happy and safe." Lorenzo, the faithful parrot, was a silent link between the past and the present. He no longer repeated Ilara's cruel phrases, but occasionally, when Sophia was near, he would chirp, "Daddy loves you," or "Sophia is beautiful." Words that melted Arthur's heart and brought a genuine smile to the girl's face. His presence was a constant reminder that the truth, however painful, had set everyone free. The mansion, once a place of secrets and falsehoods, had become a home of truth and affection. Arthur knew that healing was a continuous process, with ups and downs, but with each passing day, the light in Sophia's eyes grew brighter. He was learning to be the father she always deserved, and Sophia, in turn, was learning to trust, to love, and to allow herself to be loved. The future still held challenges, but Arthur was certain that with love and resilience, they would overcome them together. The family, now stronger and more united, was ready for any storm. The peace that Arthur and Sophia had meticulously built was a garden flourishing amidst the ruins of the past. The mansion, once a stage of secrets and falsehoods, now vibrated with childish laughter and the serene quietness of a true home. Sophia, with Dr. Helena's tireless help, was transforming every day. Her eyes, which once carried a veiled fear and deep sadness, now shone with an insatiable curiosity for the world. She explored every corner of the garden with renewed energy, her small hands touching the velvety petals of the flowers, her ears attentive to the joyful singing of the birds visiting the ancient trees. Arthur observed each of these moments with a mixture of joy and a persistent pang of remorse. The guilt for his blindness, for not having perceived his daughter's suffering, was still a shadow that occasionally enveloped him, but Sophia's unconditional love was the strongest light that pushed it away. He had radically reorganized his life, delegating more responsibilities at the company to dedicate himself fully to his daughter. Meetings were now held via video conference from his home office, and he always reserved sacred time for lunch and dinner with Sophia, listening to her daily stories with an attention and affection that had previously been lacking in his busy life. One afternoon, as they leafed through an old photo album, filled with memories of happier times and moments Arthur tried to reclaim, Sophia stopped at an image of Ilara. Her delicate little fingers traced the woman's face, and a heavy silence filled the room's air, almost palpable. Arthur felt his heart painfully clench in his chest. He waited patiently, watching his daughter's expression change, the lightness of her smile fading. Sophia's eyes filled with a sadness Arthur recognized as a distant, painful echo of the past. "Daddy, she didn't love me?" Sophia asked, her voice almost inaudible, her lips trembling slightly, betraying the fragility of the question. The question, so direct and painful in its childlike simplicity, hit Arthur hard, like a punch to the stomach. He carefully closed the album, as if to shield Sophia from further pain, and pulled her closer, nestling her in his strong arms. "My love. Love is a very big feeling, and sometimes very complicated. Sometimes people get lost and can't love in the right way. But that, my princess, has nothing to do with you. You are the sweetest, bravest, and most loved girl in this world." He stroked her soft hair, feeling her small body gradually relax in his protective embrace. "Daddy loves you more than anything in this world, and Dr. Helena taught us that the love we have now, the true love that unites us, is what truly matters, isn't it?" Sophia lifted her head, her blue eyes still moist but with a glimmer of understanding and acceptance. She nodded slightly, a small gesture that was worth more than 1,000 words to Arthur. At that moment, Lorenzo, perched on the windowsill, observing the scene with his intelligent eyes, emitted a soft chirp, almost a whisper. "Sophia is beautiful," he said, with the clarity and sweetness only he possessed. The girl looked at the parrot, and a genuine, though still fragile, smile appeared on her face, illuminating it like a ray of sunshine. She extended her little hand to Lorenzo, who tilted his head in response, as if greeting her. Arthur felt a warm, comforting relief spread through his body, dissipating the tension. It was a powerful reminder that healing was not a linear path, but a continuous process, with ups and downs, and that every small step, no matter how minor, was a significant victory. He knew there would be other moments like that, other difficult questions, other shadows of the past to face. But now, he was not alone. He had Sophia, his strength and his reason for living, and he had Lorenzo, the silent guardian of a truth that, though painful, had paved the way for redemption and a deeper love. The family, rebuilt with love and truth, was ready to embrace the future, one day at a time, with the unwavering certainty that love was the most powerful and unbreakable of armors. The day of Anna's party arrived, and with it, a mixture of childlike excitement and Arthur's usual apprehension. Sophia chose a floral dress, twirling in front of the mirror with a smile Arthur hadn't seen in a long time. "Daddy, do I look pretty?" she asked, her eyes sparkling. "The most beautiful in the world, my love," he replied, kissing her forehead, his heart tight with emotion and fear. As they arrived at Anna's house, a joyful buzz of children's voices and music greeted them. Arthur held Sophia's hand tighter, feeling the curious gaze of some parents. He noticed discreet whispers, furtive glances, but made an effort to ignore them, focusing only on the small hand in his. Sophia, initially shy, hid a little behind her father's legs, but the sight of the colorful cake and balloons soon drew her in. Anna, the hostess, ran to hug her, and within minutes, Sophia was playing among the other children, a genuine smile adorning her face. Arthur watched from afar, a lump in his throat. He saw his daughter laughing, running, participating. It was a miracle. Suddenly, a slightly older boy, perhaps without malice, pointed at Sophia and asked loudly, "Aren't you the girl from TV, the one who—" His voice trailed off into an awkward silence. Sophia stopped playing, her shoulders hunched slightly, and her eyes sought Arthur's, a flicker of fear reappearing. Arthur felt his blood boil, ready to intervene. But before he could take a step, Sophia, with a courage that surprised him, stepped forward. She looked at the boy, then at the others watching her, and said in a small but firm voice, Yes, that's me, but now I'm happy, and my daddy loves me very much." She then took Anna's hand and pulled her towards the slide, as if nothing had happened. Arthur stood paralyzed, his heart overflowing with pride and relief. His daughter, his little warrior, had faced the shadow of the past and chosen the light. In that instant, he knew that Sophia didn't need a bubble, but a guide. She had the strength to navigate the world, and he would always be by her side, not as a blind protector, but as a father who would teach her to fly. The climax was not the battle, but the silent victory of a healing heart. The silent victory of a healing heart resonated deeply within Arthur. That instant at Anna's birthday party, when Sophia, with a small but firm voice, had claimed her happiness and her father's love, transformed something within him. He realized that his daughter was no longer the fragile girl who needed to be hidden from the world, but a resilient soul who, even with her scars, was ready to blossom. Overprotection, once seen as a shield, now seemed like a cage. His role was not to imprison her, but to give her wings and the security to fly. From that day on, Arthur decided that Sophia's life would be as normal and fulfilling as possible, free from the shackles of fear or external judgment. The following months were a testament to this new philosophy. Sophia began attending a small school, a welcoming environment that Dr. Helena had recommended. There, she made new friends, participated in children's plays, and discovered the joy of learning and sharing. Arthur took and picked her up, watching her play in the yard, her crystalline laughter mixing with that of the others. Her former paleness had completely disappeared, replaced by a vibrant sparkle in her eyes and a vigor that filled every one of her movements. She spoke openly about her feelings and experiences, and Arthur felt his heart fill with immense love and gratitude for every word she shared. The guilt that once suffocated him, though never forgotten, transformed into motivation to be the best father. He continued his sessions with Dr. Helena, who helped him process the past and forgive himself for his blindness. "Arthur, the love you offer today is the greatest gift you can give Sophia. The past is a lesson, not a condemnation," she always said with her calm wisdom. He further reorganized his work schedule, ensuring that afternoons and evenings were dedicated exclusively to his daughter. Together, they explored new hobbies, painting classes, museum visits, and long walks in nature, where Sophia collected leaves and stones as if they were treasures. Lorenzo the parrot continued to be a constant and comforting presence. He no longer repeated phrases from the past, but his words were always of affection and support. "Sophia is beautiful. Daddy loves you. We are happy," were the sounds that filled the mansion, transforming the echo of old sorrows into melodies of hope. The house, once a place of falsehoods and pain, now radiated warmth and authenticity. Each room told a new story of overcoming, of rebuilt love, and of a family that, despite adversities, had found its true home. One night, as Arthur read a story to Sophia before bed, she nestled into his arms, her face serene. "Daddy," she whispered, "I love you very much, and I'm happy." A warmth spread through Arthur. He hugged her, kissing her head. "I love you more than anything too, my princess, and seeing you happy is the greatest joy of my life." The pains of the past seemed distant, mere echoes of a storm. Arthur and Sophia's journey, long and painful, had made them stronger, more united, and with a deep understanding of what truly mattered. Justice was served, wounds healed, and love, pure and resilient, triumphed. They knew that life would bring new challenges, but they had the unwavering certainty that, together, with mutual support and Lorenzo's memory, they would face everything. Peace settled in their hearts, promising a bright future of light and hope. The years unfolded gently, weaving a tapestry of sunny days and tranquil nights in the mansion. that once a stage of shadows now pulsed with life and laughter. Sophia grew, transforming from a fragile girl into a radiant young woman, full of curiosity and contagious joy. Her blue eyes, once clouded with apprehension, now shone with the vivacity of someone discovering the world with each new dawn. Arthur watched his daughter with a love that filled every fiber of his being. The guilt that had tormented him for so long had transformed into a driving force to be the most present and loving father Sophia could have. He accompanied her in all her discoveries, in ballet classes, where Sophia floated with the lightness of a butterfly, in school projects, where her creativity blossomed in vibrant colors, and in nightly conversations where she shared her dreams and small worries with the confidence of someone who feels fully loved and secure. Dr. Helena continued to be an important figure in their lives, a wise guide who helped them solidify the foundations of their new existence. She taught Arthur the importance of letting Sophia explore the world with autonomy, always with the safety net of his love, but without the shackles of fear. Sophia, in turn, learned to express her feelings clearly, to trust herself, and to understand that true love heals all wounds. Lorenzo the parrot grew old with them, his feathers still vibrant, but his flight a little slower. He continued to be the silent guardian, a living link to the past that reminded them of the truth that had been revealed. His words were now a chorus of affection. Sophia is beautiful. Daddy loves you. We are happy. These phrases became the constant melody of the house, a daily reminder of the redemption and unconditional love that united them. The mansion, with its lush gardens and light-filled rooms, was a sanctuary of peace. Arthur had dedicated himself to social projects, using his fortune and influence to support vulnerable children, an altruism born from his own pain and the desire that no other child should go through what Sophia had endured. He found a new purpose, a way to transform evil into good, spreading hope and justice wherever he went. One sunny afternoon, Sophia, now a young woman, was sitting in the garden, observing a group of children play with carefree joy. Beside her, Arthur, with snow-white hair and a serene smile that radiated peace, held her hand tenderly. Lorenzo, on his special perch, watched the scene with his attentive eyes fixed on the happiness that filled the air. "Daddy," Sophia said, her voice soft and full of emotion, "do you remember when I was so afraid to leave the house, of everything?" Arthur squeezed her hand affectionately. "I remember, my love. But you found your voice, your inner strength. You transformed pain into a grand purpose." Sophia smiled, a smile that illuminated her entire face, reflecting the sunlight. "And you taught me that love is the greatest force in the universe, that even in the deepest shadows, light always finds a way to guide us." She turned to him, her eyes moist with deep and sincere gratitude. "Our legacy isn't just the institution, Daddy. It's the hope we plant in the hearts of each of these children. It's the unwavering certainty that goodness, compassion, and justice always win." Arthur nodded, a silent tear tracing his face, marked by time and lived experiences. He looked at Lorenzo, who let out a soft chirp, almost a murmur of approval, as if understanding every word. Life, with its unexpected twists and turns, had taught them the most valuable lesson, that the true treasure was not vast fortune, but the unbreakable bonds of family, the altruism that healed wounds, and the human connection that transcended all adversities. The story of Arthur and Sophia, told and retold over the years, became a beacon of hope, an inspiring testament that even after the darkest of nights, dawn always arrives, bringing with it the promise of a bright future overflowing with love.